There is a conspiracy among successful people, and they do not want you to know about it. While they publish books about their methods, speak at conferences about their strategies, and give interviews about their journeys, they never reveal the most important secret of their success. They never tell you that their real advantage came from learning when to keep their mouths shut. They never admit that their biggest breakthrough happened when they stopped talking and started protecting their ideas. The conspiracy is not that they are hiding information from you. The conspiracy is that they are teaching you to do things that will prevent you from joining their ranks. They encourage you to be transparent while they remain strategic. They tell you to share while they protect. They want you to keep talking because your talking keeps you from succeeding. There was once a king who ruled the most powerful kingdom in his region. His army was strong, his treasury was full, and his people trusted him completely. But this king had one weakness that would cost him everything. He could not keep his mouth shut. Every time he planned a military strategy, he would talk about it at dinner parties. Every time he had a secret meeting with his advisors, he would later brag about the decisions to his friends. Every time he learned something valuable, he felt the need to share it with everyone around him. One day, this king received intelligence about an enemy approaching his borders. His spies had given him the exact route, the exact time, and the exact weakness of the enemy army. This information was pure gold. It was the kind of intelligence that wins wars before they even start. His military advisors developed a perfect strategy based on this secret information. The plan was flawless. Victory was certain, but the king could not contain himself. At a royal feast that evening, surrounded by nobles and dignitaries, he started talking. He spoke about the enemy's weakness. He bragged about his superior intelligence network. He revealed details of his military strategy. He wanted everyone to know how smart he was, how prepared he was, how certain his victory would be. What the king did not know was that among his guests sat a merchant who traded with both kingdoms. This merchant listened carefully to every word. 3 days later, that merchant was across the border, selling the king's secrets to his enemies. The approaching army changed their route. They adjusted their strategy. They turned the king's own plan against him. When the battle came, the king's army was completely defeated. His kingdom fell, his throne was lost, his people were conquered, all because he could not keep his mouth shut about what he knew. This story teaches us something that most people never learn in their entire lifetime. The moment you speak your secret, you lose your power. The moment you reveal your strategy, you surrender your advantage. The moment you announce your plans, you invite interference, competition, and sabotage. Listen to me very carefully. There is a difference between knowing something and announcing something. Knowledge is power, but only when it remains yours alone. The moment you share that knowledge, you divide the power. You give others access to what should remain your exclusive advantage. Most people think that talking about their plans makes them real. They believe that announcing their goals creates accountability. They assume that sharing their dreams gives them support. But successful people understand a different truth. They know that silence is the guardian of wisdom. They know that keeping your mouth shut is not about being secretive for the sake of secrecy. It is about being strategic for the sake of success. Let me tell you about Maria, a young entrepreneur who almost learned this lesson the hard way. Maria had been working for 3 years on a revolutionary app that would change how people manage their personal finances. She had solved problems that major companies had struggled with for decades. Her solution was elegant, simple, and absolutely breakthrough. Maria was excited about her innovation. She had worked alone in her small apartment, coding late into the night, testing and refining her idea. She had created something truly special. But Maria made a mistake that nearly cost her everything. One afternoon, Maria was sitting in her favorite coffee shop, working on her laptop. At the next table sat two men having a conversation about business. Maria could not help but overhear their discussion about financial technology. Before she knew it, she had introduced herself and was enthusiastically explaining her app to these complete strangers. She told them about the unique algorithm she had developed. She explained the specific features that made her app different from everything else on the market. She even showed them her prototype. She was so proud of her work that she wanted to share it with people who might appreciate its brilliance. What Maria did not know was that one of those men worked for a major technology company. Within 2 weeks, that company had assigned a team of 20 developers to create a similar app. Within 6 months, they had launched a product that used the same core concepts Maria had explained in that coffee shop. Because they had more resources, better marketing, and faster execution. Their app dominated the market. Maria's 3 years of hard work, her brilliant innovation, her unique solution, all became worthless because she could not keep her mouth shut for 30 minutes in a coffee shop. Your mouth can be your greatest enemy or your most powerful ally. When you speak too much, too soon, to too many people, your mouth becomes the weapon that destroys your own dreams. But when you learn to control your tongue, when you master the discipline of silence, your mouth becomes the ally that protects your potential until the right moment comes. Most people fail not because they lack good ideas. They fail because they cannot keep their good ideas to themselves long enough to develop them properly. They fail because they announce their intentions before they have built their capacity. They fail because they reveal their strategies before they have secured their position. The principle is simple but profound. Loose lips do not just sink ships. Loose lips destroy destinies before they are even born. Every time you speak prematurely about your plans, you invite competition, criticism, and interference. Every time you reveal your strategies before you are ready, you give others the opportunity to steal your thunder or sabotage your success. This is why successful people seem mysterious. This is why winners appear to come out of nowhere with their achievements. They have learned the secret of silence. They understand that the power of what you know is directly related to how few people know that you know it. The moment you master this principle, everything changes. Your mouth stops being your enemy and becomes your strategic ally in the pursuit of your dreams. Now let me tell you something about the economics of information that will change how you think about what you know. Information has value only when it remains scarce. The moment information becomes common knowledge, it loses its power to create advantage. This is not just a business principle, this is a life principle that separates those who accumulate wealth from those who struggle financially their entire lives. Think about it this way. If everyone knows what you know, then what you know has no special value. But if you are the only one who knows what you know, then what you know becomes incredibly valuable. The scarcity of information creates its power. The exclusivity of knowledge creates its worth. Let me tell you about Thomas, a brilliant young man who discovered this truth the most painful way possible. Thomas worked as a financial analyst, but in his spare time, he had developed a system for trading stocks that was absolutely remarkable. Through careful study and analysis, he had identified patterns in the market that others missed. His system was so effective that in just 18 months, he had turned $5,000 into over $200,000. Thomas was proud of his achievement, and rightfully so. He had worked hard to develop his system. He had spent countless hours studying market trends, analyzing data, and testing his theories. His success was the result of genuine intelligence and dedicated effort. But Thomas made a mistake that cost him everything. He started talking about his success. First, he told his family about his trading profits. Then he shared his strategies with friends at work. Eventually, he was giving detailed explanations of his system to anyone who would listen. He even started posting about his methods on social media, explaining exactly how he was making such consistent profits. Thomas thought he was being helpful. He thought he was sharing valuable knowledge with people who could benefit from it. But what Thomas did not understand was that he was destroying the very thing that made his system valuable within 6 months. Dozens of people were using variations of Thomas's trading system within a year. Hundreds of traders had adopted similar strategies. The patterns that Thomas had discovered were no longer his secret advantage. They had become common knowledge, and when everyone was using the same approach, the approach stopped working. The market adapted, the opportunities disappeared. The very success of his system made his system obsolete. Thomas went from making consistent profits to struggling with consistent losses. His $200,000 disappeared faster than he had earned it. His secret weapon had been neutralized by his own big mouth. This is why people who talk too much never accumulate significant wealth. They give away their competitive advantages through casual conversation. They share their strategies before they have maximized their potential. They treat valuable information like worthless chatter. Successful people understand that information is currency, not conversation. They know that what they know is valuable precisely because others do not know it. They use their knowledge strategically, not socially. They understand that sharing certain information is the same as giving away money when you have valuable information. You have 3 choices. You can keep it to yourself and use it for your advantage. You can share it selectively with people who can help you maximize its value. Or you can talk about it freely and watch its value disappear. Most people choose the third option without even realizing they are making a choice. The connection between silence and strategic advantage is not complicated. The more people who know your strategy, the less effective your strategy becomes. The more people who understand your methods, the less profitable your methods remain. The more people who copy your approach, the less unique your results will be. This is why timing in revelation determines your elevation. There is a right time to speak and a wrong time to speak. There's a time to share and a time to remain silent. There's a time to teach and a time to protect what you know. Smart people understand that every piece of valuable information has an expiration date. The question is whether that information will expire because you used it to its full potential or because you talked about it until it became worthless. The moment you speak your secret, you begin the countdown to its destruction. The moment you reveal your strategy, you start the process of its obsolescence. This is not about being selfish with knowledge. This is about being smart with opportunity. Your silence is not just about keeping secrets. Your silence is about keeping your competitive edge sharp until you're ready to use it most effectively. There is something about silence that reveals the maturity of a person's mind. Immature minds have an uncontrollable need to tell everything they know. They cannot hold information without immediately releasing it. They treat knowledge like hot coals that must be dropped before they burn their hands. But mature minds understand that silence is not the absence of something to say. Silence is the presence of wisdom about when to say it. Let me tell you about Rebecca, a young lawyer who learned this principle in the most challenging case of her career. Rebecca had just joined a prestigious law firm, and she was assigned to assist with a case that seemed impossible to win. The opposing side had better resources, more experienced attorneys, and what appeared to be a stronger legal position. For weeks, Rebecca worked late into the night, researching precedents and analyzing every detail of the case, while her senior colleagues focused on the obvious arguments. Rebecca discovered something they had missed. She found a legal precedent from 30 years ago that completely changed the foundation of their case. This precedent was obscure, buried in old court records, but it was exactly what they needed to win. Rebecca was excited about her discovery. She wanted to share it immediately with everyone on the team. She wanted recognition for her hard work and brilliant research, but something inside her urged caution. Instead of announcing her finding, she decided to remain quiet and think strategically about how and when to use this information. During the weeks that followed, Rebecca watched as the opposing attorneys built their entire case around assumptions that her discovered precedent would destroy. She listened as they committed resources and time to arguments that would become worthless once her precedent was revealed. She remained silent while they grew confident about their position. When the trial began, the opposing side presented their case exactly as Rebecca had expected. They were confident, thorough, and convincing. Then, at the perfect moment, Rebecca's team presented the precedent she had discovered. The entire foundation of the opposition's argument collapsed instantly. The case was won decisively. After the trial, Rebecca's senior partner asked her why she had not mentioned the precedent earlier. Rebecca's answer revealed her wisdom. If I had spoken about it weeks ago, they would have adjusted their strategy by remaining silent. I allowed them to build their case on ground that I knew would crumble. This story illustrates the difference between secrecy and privacy. Secrecy is hiding something because you are ashamed of it. Privacy is protecting something because you understand its value. Rebecca was not being secretive about her discovery. She was being private about her strategy. Mature people understand that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone needs to know what you are thinking, planning, or discovering. Not everyone has earned the right to your transparency. Silence is not about being antisocial or unfriendly. Silence is about being selective with who receives access to your most valuable thoughts and insights. The principle of selective sharing is crucial for success. You must learn to distinguish between people who deserve your openness and people who do not. Some people in your life have proven themselves trustworthy with your dreams and plans. Others have proven themselves dangerous to your success. Wisdom knows the difference. Silence also creates something that words destroy: mystery. When people cannot predict everything you are going to do or say, they respect you more. When they cannot assume they know all your thoughts and plans, they take you more seriously. Mystery creates respect. Familiarity, especially the familiarity that comes from talking too much, breeds contempt. Confident people do not need to announce everything they know. Insecure people feel compelled to prove their worth through constant talking. The strength of your silence often speaks louder than the volume of your voice. When you master the discipline of strategic silence, you demonstrate a level of self-control and wisdom that commands respect from everyone around you. Everything in life has a season, and this includes when to speak and when to remain silent. There is a time to reveal and a time to conceal. There is a time to share and a time to protect. Most people fail not because they lack good information, but because they release that information at the wrong time. They speak too early, too late, or to the wrong audience. Understanding timing is the difference between success and failure in every area of life. Premature revelation is one of the greatest killers of potential. When you speak before the right time, you destroy possibilities that could have transformed your life. You invite interference when you need focus. You create competition when you need clear space to develop. You generate doubt when you need confidence to grow. Let me tell you about David, a talented musician who almost destroyed his career before it began by speaking at the wrong time. David had been playing guitar and writing songs for years, performing in small venues and building a local following. His music was exceptional, and he had developed a unique sound that captured people's attention immediately. One day, a talent scout from a major record label heard David perform and was impressed. The scout approached David after the show and expressed interest in setting up meetings with record executives. This was the break David had been dreaming about for years. The scout told David to keep the discussions private until they could arrange proper meetings and negotiation. But David could not contain his excitement. Within days, he was telling everyone about his potential record deal. He posted on social media about his upcoming meetings with the record label. He talked to local reporters about his big break. He told his friends, his family, and even casual acquaintances about the opportunity that was developing. What David did not understand was that his premature announcements created problems he never anticipated. Other musicians in his area became jealous and started spreading negative rumors about his character. Local venue owners who had been supportive of his career suddenly became resentful, feeling that David no longer valued their relationship. Most importantly, the publicity created pressure on the record label that they had not expected. When the record executives finally met with David, they were no longer dealing with a private negotiation. They were dealing with a public situation that had generated expectations and attention they preferred to avoid. The pressure changed the entire dynamic of the discussions. Instead of being able to develop the relationship naturally, everything became complicated by the public nature of the situation. The record deal that might have happened smoothly in private became difficult to negotiate in public. The executives became more cautious, more demanding, and ultimately less interested. David's premature revelation had turned his opportunity into a liability. His inability to remain silent at the right time cost him the very thing he wanted most. Successful people master the art of timing because they understand that the same information can create different results depending on when it is revealed. They know how to recognize when the season is right for speaking and when the season requires continued silence. They understand that patience in revelation often determines the magnitude of success. Creating anticipation through strategic silence is more powerful than creating excitement through premature announcement. When people know that something significant is developing, but do not know the details, their curiosity and respect increase. When they know everything too early, their interest and support often decrease. The relationship between patience, silence, and ultimate success is direct and powerful. Patient people can remain silent longer. Silent people can develop their opportunities more fully. People who develop their opportunities more fully achieve greater success. This is why the most successful people often appear to come out of nowhere with their achievements. They have learned to work in silence until the results are ready to speak for themselves. The right time to speak is not when you are excited about your opportunity. The right time to speak is when your opportunity is ready to be revealed. Now that you understand the power, the economics, the maturity, and the timing of silence, the question becomes, how do you actually live this secret? How do you implement the discipline of silence in your daily life when everything inside you wants to speak? How do you develop the internal strength required to keep your mouth shut when you are bursting with excitement about your plans, your discoveries, or your opportunities? The answer lies in understanding that silence is not passive. Silence is active. Silence is not the absence of action. Silence is the presence of strategic thinking. When you choose to remain silent about your plans, you are not doing nothing. You are doing the most important thing. You are protecting your potential until it is ready to manifest. Let me tell you a complete story that will show you exactly how this works in real life. This is the story of Marcus, a young man who learned to live the secret of silence and transformed his entire life because of it. Marcus grew up in a neighborhood where most people worked ordinary jobs and lived ordinary lives. There was nothing wrong with ordinary, but Marcus had dreams that were far from ordinary. He wanted to build a business empire. He wanted to create wealth that would change his family's situation for generations. He wanted to prove that someone from his background could achieve extraordinary success. When Marcus was 25, he got a job at a logistics company that managed shipping and transportation for major retailers. It was supposed to be temporary work while he figured out his next step. But Marcus soon realized that this job was giving him access to information that most people never see. He was learning how products move from manufacturers to stores. He was understanding the costs, the margins, the inefficiencies, and the opportunities in the supply chain. After 6 months on the job, Marcus identified a specific problem that was costing companies millions of dollars annually. He saw a gap in the market that no one else seemed to notice. He understood exactly how to solve this problem and create a service that would be incredibly valuable to major retailers. But Marcus had learned something from watching other people fail. He had seen too many people with good ideas announce their plans too early and lose their opportunities. So Marcus made a decision that would change his life. He decided to remain completely silent about his discovery while he prepared to act on it. For the next 18 months, Marcus lived a double life. During the day, he worked his regular job, but he never spoke about what he was really thinking or planning. In the evenings and weekends, he quietly researched his idea. He studied the legal requirements for starting his type of business. He saved every dollar he could from his salary. He identified potential clients. He developed a business plan. He figured out exactly what he would need to launch successfully. The hardest part was not the work. The hardest part was keeping his mouth shut. Marcus was excited about his idea. He wanted to talk to his friends about his plans. He wanted to share his vision with his family. He wanted recognition for his intelligence and his ambition. Every day, the urge to speak about his project grew stronger, but Marcus had made a commitment to silence, and he kept that commitment. When his co-workers complained about problems at work, Marcus listened without revealing that he was developing a solution. When his friends talked about their dreams and goals, Marcus listened without sharing his own plans. When his family asked about his future, Marcus spoke in general terms without revealing specifics. While Marcus worked in silence, something powerful was happening. His idea was getting stronger. His preparation was getting more thorough. His confidence was growing. His resources were accumulating. Instead of dissipating his energy through talking, he was concentrating all his energy into building. After 18 months of silent preparation, Marcus was ready. He had saved enough money to launch. He had completed all the legal requirements. He had identified his first clients. He had developed his service offerings. He had prepared everything he needed for success. Marcus gave his notice at the logistics company and launched his business within 3 months. He had signed contracts with 2 major retailers. Within 6 months, he was generating more revenue than his previous salary within 2 years. His company had grown to employ 15 people and serve clients across multiple states. But here is the most important part of Marcus's story. After his business became successful, people started asking him how he had done it. They wanted to know where his idea came from. They wanted to understand how he had developed his success so quickly. Some people even accused him of being lucky or having secret advantages. Marcus realized that his former co-workers, people who had worked alongside him for 18 months, had no idea what he had been preparing. They had seen him as just another employee doing ordinary work. They had never suspected that he was building something extraordinary. His silence had been so complete that his success appeared to come from nowhere. This is the compound effect of consistent silence about your moves. While other people are talking about their dreams, you are building your reality. While other people are announcing their intentions, you are developing your capacity. While other people are seeking approval for their ideas, you are creating results that speak for themselves. The internal work required to keep your mouth shut when you want to speak is the same internal work that builds the discipline necessary for extraordinary success. Every time you choose silence over speech, you are strengthening your self-control. Every time you protect your plans instead of sharing them, you are developing the mindset of a winner. This secret separates winners from losers in every field. Winners understand that their silence is strategic. Losers think their silence means they have nothing to say. Winners use silence to concentrate their energy. Losers use talking to dissipate their focus. Winners let their results do the talking. Losers do the talking before they have results. Starting today, you can begin to practice the power of strategic silence. When you have an idea that excites you, resist the urge to immediately share it. When you make a plan that could change your life, protect that plan through silence until you are ready to act. When you discover an opportunity that others have missed, Keep that discovery to yourself until you have positioned yourself to benefit from it. The transformation that happens when you master this secret is remarkable. You become more focused because your energy is not scattered through constant talking. You become more respected because people cannot predict everything you are going to do. You become more successful because your competitive advantages remain yours alone until you choose to reveal them. Remember this. Your mouth can destroy your dreams before they have a chance to become reality. Or your mouth can protect your dreams until they are strong enough to survive in the world. The choice is yours. But choose wisely. Once you know this secret, keep your mouth shut and watch how your life transforms when you let your results do all the talking that needs to be done.